Hey, what's going on, guys? Dillon and Jason here.
How's it going, guys?
And today we're going to be reviewing all of your entries from the DCF video game contest. Finally, man, this one's been a long time coming, huh?
Dude, we've been trying to do this video for about a couple weeks now.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know what happened with Instagram, but they decided to go ahead and sort of limit what you're able to do as far as searching hashtags. Every hashtag you search over the past month or so has had a little bit of a warning nearby saying that all entries or posts with the hashtag are limited to help prevent
false information.
Yeah, false information about the election. Mm-hmm. Not that our hashtag has anything to do with the election, but that's just what they were. Instagram decided to roll with. Mm-hmm. So, anyways,
so we're trying to come up with new methods so that this doesn't happen next time.
Yep.
New methods that, as far as submissions, so that maybe we set up some form of like Google Doc or something where you guys can submit everything, just so we could avoid this issue and can release these videos on time. Right.
I think the idea behind why we did it, we had good intentions with wanting to help force you guys to create cool Instagram content. All you need to do is post your entry to Instagram. We really wanted to make it nice and easy to submit. Really didn't even have to email it in anywhere or anything like that. Not that that's very hard to do, but we wanted it to be super easy to submit your entries, but we might need to change that a little bit next time moving forward. But nonetheless, we got an awesome turnout. We have an amazing contest. Video games, man. People crushed it on these. The creativity off the charts here.
Insane.
Let's just dive in, man.
Let's go. So first off, we have bomb kicks with a pair of Super Nintendo Air Force Ones. I mean, dude, just alone the theme alone, I can definitely see where the inspiration comes from. I love how you threw in the stencils, right?
Yep.
Of the different buttons on there too. The little black accents on the back of the heel tab.
Stitching,
just to add like the whole color palette. I like these a lot.
Yeah, I think that if you were potentially expecting maybe a Nike release or something like that, it might be something like this, something a little bit more safe. It's not way out there as far as terms of being super loud or anything like that, but it's clean, classic color blocking, and the graphics dope. Yeah. Everything they included, the setup for everything, really great job as far as that goes. Next up, we have Mr. T's Customs with a pair of Nike cleats with an Among Us theme. Looks like they also included potentially the team logos and the players' numbers on the toe box. Really cool, bold, loud design. What do you think about it, man?
I like the added lightning in there to kind of add some separation from the foreground and background. I think the lightning goes in behind the character sometimes, and I think it adds to, like creates the depth, helps create the depth, and gives it a whole nother effect.
A lot of cool stenciling going on here too. I think that maybe adding some of the lightning streaks in some various colors, some neon glows, I think that could have helped tie these in together too, but nonetheless, really cool, bold design here.
Next up, we have Sneak Dreams Customs with a pair of Dragon Ball Z Air Force Mids, and the specific episode this shoe is referring to is probably one of my favorite episodes, and I think they nailed it as far as like the glow on the Kamehamehas.
Yeah.
The character work is actually pretty solid. Definitely. I do think they picked a decent canvas to fit, a little bit more on there than the low would have.
Yeah, I think that they did a really cool job of, it's really cool when the shoes are almost battling themselves, you know what I mean? So when you place these shoes, a certain way, you can definitely almost see the shoes battling against each other, which is really cool. The glow effect, like you said, is definitely what really helps sell these. And big fan, Dragon Ball Z logo right on the strap too. Really clean job here. Next up, we have Blue 02, and
next up, we have TD Custom Shoe Work with a pair of Fortnite Adidas. And even though the design isn't all over these shoes, I do like the simple color blocking that he added. It goes with the Fortnite colors, the yellow and the blue. And I think that alone, even though he left a lot of it white, like the mid part white, it still gives it something. You know what I mean?
It definitely has a Fortnite theme, and absolutely. And I mean, for a first shoe, doing that Victory Royale stencil, I'm not sure if they did it by hand. If it's your first shoe, you're probably not using things like a vinyl cutter and whatnot. That came out really clean looking. This is a great first pair here.
I also like that he added the laces too.
Yeah, and look on the inside. I don't even know the name of the little character, but to do that on the inside where less people are going to be seeing, that type of stuff, it's not big and bold on the outside. Really good job here. Next up, we have a pair of high tops from Mo and Cheese Customs, the Yoshi Story theme. There is a lot going on here. This is a really cool theme, really unique canvas. I like the definitely utilized the silhouette to their advantage as far as all the different panels and having some of the panels completely solid, whereas a lot of the other various panels are going to have different graphics from the game, but still finding a way to tie the shoes in together by using that teal taking up a majority of the shoe. Then near the collars, they have the different colors on the two different shoes. Yoshi's story on the two tongue tags. This is just a really cool theme in decking out both shoes entirely.
I was gonna mention how I like that the two different on the near the collars, what are the padded? What are they called? Like the pads represent a different Yoshi character, and the laces too. I like how they have a lot of detail on the laces because you could have just went with the simple white lace, but you didn't, and I like that.
Great job here. Next up, we have NC Customs with a pair of Star Wars Converse. From what I can tell, man, that looks like an extremely tiny shoe, so we're not working with a lot of space here. Every different side of the shoe has a different graphic, but my favorite one being that battle between Luke and Vader, those classic silhouettes where you get to see the red and the blue lightsabers. Turned out really cool here, canvas being a tough material to work with. These came out awesome.
Next up, we have JH Customs with a pair of Zelda Vans, and obviously right away the artwork is amazing, but I think my favorite thing is the detail within the crown itself on the right pair, and then also the metallic paint behind Link.
So good. What I really enjoy about these is when you think of a pair of slip-on Vans, usually all you're really working with is that main panel. You know what I mean? But look at how they took advantage of using some of the other panels on the shoe where they have these really cool, unique line work sort of
like patterns
from the game, which is so cool, and really utilizing these somewhat underutilized panels typically on a pair of slip-on Vans. So I really enjoy that here, and this is using your base shoe to your advantage and really taking advantage of all these other things that I think a lot of people might skip past. Next up, we have Urban Prototypes with a pair of Legend of Zelda Air Jordan 1s, man. Look at that swoosh removal and what they were able to do. There is so much cool detail in here. Just the shading alone is killer on some of those tan panels. Love these.
The graphic you made with these, sick, man. I like that. Just the spacing, I guess, around the character and where the shoes are. Everything's just well organized in this picture.
Man, these are so dope. I love just that one single panel where you have the navy blue along with that little graphic on there where the laces start. These are super dope.
Next up, we have Custom Kicks 2 with the pair of God of War Louis Vuittons. And I personally never played God of War. I know it's a great game, but I think you killed it on the stencil. It's a really great job. All the little details within the wrinkles. You did an absolutely great job at not leaving any of that out. And I think the fact that you did add that in adds so much more detail and character to these characters.
What a dope looking graphic. You know what I mean? Imagine looking at these from far and you just see that little hint of red along with the rest of that graphic. These are so sweet.
And for the second entry, they have a pair of Street Fighter high tops, and I do like that you added the blue to this stencil design.
Definitely works here.
It definitely pops against the red.
Yeah. I love that rising sun graphic, how clean that turned out, and you fit it perfectly on this high top shoe. So really clean minimalist design with your two entries. Really dig this. Next up, we have a pair from JR Customs Was Taken with an Among Us theme on this pair of Jordan 1 mids. This is clean. You kept sort of the essence of some classic Jordan 1 color blocking, that royal colorway, and then just added the Among Us characters throughout. Really dig these, man.
I like that how on the black you added the little white dots to represent the stars that they're floating in. Definitely adds to the whole like space theme.
Yeah, clean pattern throughout almost, you know what I mean? Yep, really good job.
Next up, we have Quasar Kai with a pair of Minecraft Nike lows. And going along with the whole pixel look, I do like how you just added the creeper like just subtly in there. It didn't have to be a whole part of it, and you just did a really good job at incorporating it with the overall design.
Not easy to do that many pixels, man. Not easy, because it's not done with a stencil or anything like that. That is all hand painted. Great job here. Next up, we have Don Rush Jr. with a pair of Tron-inspired Nike Shox BB4, and man, oh man, this is a shoe that requires some planning. I mean, this took a lot. I could guarantee you, he just stared at this shoe for a long while before he even got to any painting. Had to really plan out this theme and how perfectly it fits onto this silhouette. These are crazy.
Yeah, I love how the shoe came out. I definitely think you captured the essence of Tron, and the fact that the shoe looks metallic, and it looks like I can shoot bounce a dime off of it.
So futuristic looking, and like a theme like this, it just flat out doesn't work as good on another shoe.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's perfect for a shoe like this.
Next up, we have Strange Creations 420 with a pair of Mario Party Air Max 90s. And my favorite part about these has to be the spray can in the back that is shooting out the actual swoosh of the shoe. I mean, come
That's
on.
clever.
How much, like, you can get pretty creative using that.
Yeah,
using
love that
spray can.
Love that.
Next up, we have Kira Akatsuki with a pair of Among Us Chucks. And in the description, that's probably my favorite part too, because it mentions how they use, like, they were inspired by the wiring, and they used, like, actual cables as the laces.
Super cool.
And that's, I mean, super creative when it comes to, like, capturing the essence of Among Us and the tasks within the game.
They definitely nailed the galaxy theme on one of the panels, and then on another one, they really have this cool glow illuminating from the door, the blood leaking onto the midsole. Some really cool stuff here. Next up, we have Kix Van Gogh with a pair of Among Us themed Air Forces. Really cool all matte black uppers along with the various designs overlaid on top of the swoosh. But my favorite part about these is that emergency meeting button on that little heel panel in the back. That came out really clean. There's a really cool shadow around the button.
Yeah.
Definitely has a cool 3D illusion.
They added in the description that these are freehand, so I don't think they used any stencils for this either.
Clean. Great job here.
Next up, we have Customs by G with a pair of Street Fighter Air Force Ones, and as always, I mean, come on.
What can you say?
The detail.
What can you say?
The shading, the highlights within, not just like her skin, but in the little horns that are coming out the balls, the detail, like the puffery in the shoulders.
But just the way you compose the character too amongst the shoe to where you have one arm almost look like it's reaching out at you.
Yep.
I mean, it is so dope. It's so unfortunate that it says she wasn't able to finish the other shoe. I wonder if maybe we would have seen Ryu on the other shoe or something like that. But Street Fighter logo on the toe box, really clean. The lightning on the inside of the shoe where it's all just a little bit more of a red. These are dope.
Amazing work. Amazing work.
Next up, we have Moore's Custom Sneakers with a pair of Nike lows with one shoe having a Charizard theme. The other shoe has Blastoise. Both of them take advantage of doing a cool effect with the swoosh emitting from the characters. And then behind both of them, we have this insanely detailed, insane weaving pattern.
Yeah.
That it almost looks like that would need to be part of the shoe for how insanely detailed that is. That came out so dope. That's a pattern that I think we've seen Marco use before, but nonetheless looks incredible here.
I also like how each of the swooshes is also like an attack from each of the Pokemon.
Yeah,
too.
the Fire Breath and the what's Blastoise is called?
Hydro Pump.
Hydro Pump. There it is. Oh man, I feel like I made it again. Good stuff.
Next up, we have Atomic Artistry CC with a pair of Pac-Man Air Maxes, and honestly, my favorite thing about these has to be the color blocking, the amount of colors they use to represent all the different elements of the game.
Yeah.
I love the digital fruit, how they made it look pixely.
Looks great.
It looks solid.
Looks really good. One thing that I probably would have liked to see here on that black panel that takes up the entire side is just some more of those yellow dots in front of Pac-Man. You know what I mean? Some yellow dots featured throughout there, I think would have really, really, really been a nice little add-on for these. But like you mentioned, man, really clean color blocking. Dig these. Next up, we have Gershon Clay with a pair of Mortal Kombat Air Force Highs, man. This is a really dope theme. I love how they took advantage of all of that height that you get with the pair of Air Force One highs. If you take a look at the inside of these, how we have that green emitting from the swoosh, some really cool techniques applied here.
And I'm not sure what what the shoes are laying on, but it almost looks like a pile of blood.
Yeah.
Which I dig.
Super
I definitely
dope.
dig a lot too.
Super dope.
Next up, we have Cronji's Art Feet Candy with a pair of Super Mario Vans. And I like the artwork on this one. Typically, this reminds me more of like if it was a TV show. If they made Super Mario into like a TV show, and I'd like that artwork. Also, like I like the sky gradient in the background. Definitely clean. And I don't know if this came with the shoe, but also the piping, the black piping.
No, I imagine this was an all-white pair, so I dig that. The black tongue really helps tie it all in together.
Yep.
So next up, we have Think Custom Design with an amazing pair of Mario-themed Timberlands. I don't even know where to begin with these. There's so many cool elements of Mario throughout the years featured. We have that 8-bit Mario, we have Paper Mario, we have Mario Kart, we got Luigi's Mansion. There is so much going on here. I love how these fit to Timberlands, and this is, I mean, when you have a ginormous canvas like this, really utilizing it to your advantage.
Yeah, a lot of people don't really use Tims, but I'm glad they utilize the entire shoe.
I mean, even look at Luigi's Mansion hidden behind the shoelaces and stuff. I mean, that is
and the
so
detail in the
dope.
mansion also.
Killer.
Amazing.
Killer. But just how good that fits on the tongue, perfect.
Next up, we have Kicks and Stuff 2020 with a pair of Nintendo Levi's, and I really actually do like these because of the whole like subtle video game aspect of it. Like there's not a huge character on there, more just like elements of it, and you could see that element, the Nintendo element, from the little hang tag they added. And then also with the custom box, I feel like it adds so much more to it.
Yeah, sort of the whole package as a whole. And then, like you said,
color blocking also super
clean colorway. Clean colorway. Really the only thing that maybe if you took off the hang tag, the elements that you would sort of notice stand out to are the game over on the tongue tags and then the eat sleep game on that side panel. So really dope.
Next up, we have DCLIC sneakers with a pair of Pokeball gel lights, and it's a pretty straightforward Pokeball design. We have the red and the white split with the black line throughout the middle, and yeah, it's pretty just
clean and simple.
Clean and simple.
Clean and simple. Next up, we have Next Level sneakers with a pair of Demon Slayer Air Forces. This is some classic Air Force One blocking where you have the white toe box, the white guts, those white laces, but then the rest of the uppers are just bombed with this awesome artwork. It came out so dope. I love how these look. That artwork is extremely clean here, man.
Yeah, I love the artwork. I also love how vibrant the colors are. You know, this is almost like a two-tone shoe. You have the left shoe representing these colors and the right shoe representing these colors, so love it.
So dope. Next up, we have Violet Blue Aesthetic with a pair of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Vans, and man, do these take you back to those classic arcade games. We have Leonardo on the one shoe with the health bar in the upper, the pizza graphic along with the insert coin text off to the side. Love those, and then Shredder just looking mean on the other shoe.
And the shading on Shredder's mask is actually pretty clean too, man.
Dope.
Next up, we have Sole Purpose Customs with a pair of 80s arcade Air Force One highs. Let me start off by saying that I'm glad you went the extra mile and actually went to an arcade and put these shoes on there. It shows, it adds a lot more value to the pictures. And I also like that you did the prior research of which games you were going to put on there because it looks very well planned out.
Definitely. These are dope. You know, taking advantage of the height of an Air Force One, having a different game on the outsides versus the insides of each of the shoes. Love these. Maybe another way to bring in something cool could potentially be the laces or tongue here. Maybe one more thing, you know what I mean, rather than the white, just because these are calling for a little bit more color, but nonetheless, these turned out really dope. Next up from Finesse 910, we have a pair of Kobe themed, I think they're soccer cleats. But anyways, we have one shoe purple, one shoe yellow, some classic honeycomb stenciling. We have the Kobe Mamba logo. We have the 8 and 24. We got the Kobe stencil. Clean, classic Kobe colorway, man.
Next up, we have Ortegarte with a pair of Spider-Man Iron Man Air Force Ones. I actually do like how he subtly put in the Spider-Man Iron Man in the swoosh instead of putting it all over the shoe. I actually do think that maybe he could have added a little bit more to the toe box. Maybe to just bring it all together a little bit more.
Agree.
But I do like the overall design.
Yeah, the I Love You 3000. We got the Endgame reference in there. Maybe an airbrush would help with the Iron Man character to make that swoosh glow a little bit potentially. Okay. I see that we have the blue piping, so I think we're going for a glow effect, but maybe an airbrush could help bring that to life a little bit more.
And for the next entry, they have a pair of Naruto-inspired Air Force Ones. I think my favorite thing about these is that they didn't let the swoosh kind of interrupt their design. The character plays into the swoosh and almost completes the artwork within the swoosh.
Just sort of how its head fits onto there.
Right. So like the swoosh isn't, I guess, like in the foreground or in the background. It is the artwork, which adds a lot to it.
Definitely.
And for their next entry, they have a pair of Dragon Ball Z inspired Air Force Ones. I do like that the background, the pink color, does fade into the white eventually. I think it was a nice touch. Probably he knows it doesn't need to overtake the whole shoe.
Right. Also, that glow behind Goku's yellow hair here really has a nice little effect.
Yeah. Next up, we have Snow Sheep art with a pair of Fortnite customs. I actually like how much detail goes into these characters. There's a lot of subtle shading and highlights packed into this really small canvas. And I also like that you added an outline to the characters to make them pop out more. Because without the outline, I don't think they would have popped out as great as that. But solid work.
I think something else that could really help bring these to life is, since they're just up against a black canvas, is some type of element to tie it into the rest of the shoe, whether it be a little bit more of a glow rather than just an outline, or something to almost fit it into more of a background, rather than sometimes when you're just working with a white or black canvas, sometimes you run the risk of it almost just looking like a sticker on there. That's also a compliment that it can look really good and the artwork is well done, which it absolutely is here. But without tying it into the rest of the background, it almost potentially has that sticker look.
Right.
And then for their second entry, they have another pair of Fortnite-inspired customs with the fish stick characters on the outside and then the dancing silhouettes on the inside. Next up, we have outlandish customs with one of the craziest pairs we've seen. We have the PlayStation 2 all-black Air Force Ones. They put a controller on the shoe, man. They finally did it. The first one where we see something from the actual system being integrated into the shoe. Absolutely crazy here. They decked them out with some other characters from various PlayStation games and even included a custom box. Look at all the graphics on the box. These are a killer presentation.
And the controller is playable, he said.
Yeah,
so,
crazy.
Best part about it.
Crazy. Next up, we have Bespoke Customs with a pair of Jurassic Park Air Force Ones. Killer graphics here, man. Killer how these turned out.
Dude, look at the detail on the teeth.
Ooh,
he like literally draw every single tooth with
that's
yellowing,
so good.
with yellowing, and yes, just overall.
I gotta say though, this is another pair where there deserves to be a background. I get it, how hard that would be, how much time that would take just to have some, you know, that forest scenery, whatever the case may be, the Jurassic Park, but it deserves it rather than just that white Air Force background for how good these are.
But overall, solid job.
Great stuff.
Next up, we have Make Me Something Dope with a pair of Super Mario Pumas. I like the video that you actually attached with this post. Really well thought out. The overall design also, I think, looks really clean. The
all those tiny little blocks.
Yeah, like the line work.
Crazy.
You know, everything looks pretty solid on this one, man.
Something I really dig about these is the toe box. Sometimes when you have a graphic that stretches across both shoes, I love the potential for that and how it turned out here, where you have that classic title card, basically, of the Super Mario Bros. Stretched across both of the toes. Came out super clean here.
For their next entry, we have a Mario-inspired pair of Pumas, and I think my favorite things about these is that you incorporated Rainbow Road as the what is that?
The Puma.
Stripe?
Yeah, the Puma stripe
on there.
So good.
And that was super smart of you to do.
It's
and
so
overall,
good.
the characters came out super clean too, and I genuinely do like this shoe.
Character work is top notch here. Just sort of how the cart is interacting with that Puma stripe. Top notch stuff. I love the toad head taking up the entire, you know, little back heel tab.
Yep.
That is so dope. Great job here.
Next up, we have Brotistic with a pair of Naruto Vans. And dude, the artwork is insane. I know you said you collabed with a tattoo artist to bring this artwork to life. So shout out to both you guys. And but overall, this you killed it.
Definitely brought the vision to life. And I mean the glows, the skin tones.
Took advantage of how much space you have on the front.
Yeah, the grunge feel of these almost. Man, these are really clean.
Solid job.
Next up, we have One Thing Customs with a pair of Charizard Jordan 1s. And what I want to start about with these, man, is this requires a vision, okay?
Yeah, okay.
This requires some thought, some intellect, some staring at a shoe, some really looking at a shoe as a 3D object and a 2D object. Because these look great from just the flat side, if you look at just from the side, but also as you rotate them around and you view them as a 3D object. These are really, really well thought out. I mean, there's so many things we could touch on here. I'm always going to be a fan of doing creative things with the swoosh, the cell shading around the various panels, really cool. The overall colorway also that Charizard has of these teals, the oranges, the browns that wrap around that toe box panel. Yep. These are dope, man.
And I know we don't typically like to tell people to paint on the midsole. But I do like how subtle the number 6 is on there. And those who get it will get it. And I think that's like the part that I like the most.
White tongues, white sock liner. What do you think?
I think it's fine.
I think
you did already what you needed to do to the rest of the shoe. And you know,
this is a great job here. I love these,
man.
Maybe these are fun to look at. These are fun to look at. I wouldn't be mad if they were orange. You know what I mean? Or some other element from Charizard.
I think if you go to this picture though, overall I think solid job. But yeah.
Really cool. Like I said, these required a vision for sure.
Up we have Fat Calves with a pair of Pokemon inspired Puma hoops. I love the videos you made with these. Really ties in. If you need to watch the video to really understand the text box he has on the side right there. But I love that you included the text box on there as well.
I love how hard everybody went with the graphics,
the gradients, everything about
incorporating video editing into their entries and their posts. Super cool. But yeah, the graphics, Ho-Ho and Lugia, they look great. The Unknown on the toe box, the two different shoes, just the warm and cool colors, really dope. A little bit of texture stencils behind the characters, awesome. And then, like you said, the wild Lugia up here, text box on the inside, just a great job. Really, really encapsulates. Whatever you want to say, everything you need for a great Pokemon theme.
I also actually do like how the midsoles are kind of frosty.
Yeah, that
I'm not sure it goes with
right.
the Ho-Oh, but it definitely goes with Lugia.
For sure.
Dude, overall, just solid job.
Next up, we have Moto Customs with a pair of Nintendo-themed Jordan 1s. I mean, wow. I mean,
there's a lot going on.
The toe box. Can we talk about the toe box? The panel wrapping around the toe box. All of that brickwork.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's
insane.
And then the Pokemon graphic on the left shoe's toe box. How perfect that fits there.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, man. These are just so well thought out.
Yeah, I also like that the tongue tags, you added that Mario theme to it. Didn't leave those as just like, you know, Jordan, Nike.
The wings logos being a solid color, great touch. Leaving some of the panels alone, some of the smaller panels near the collars.
Yeah.
Jason, white tongues, white sock liners. What do you think?
I think if there's a lot going on around the shoe, the inside doesn't need it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I think if you're gonna do it,
I think it's a nice breakage.
You just got to be able to justify it.
Yeah.
You almost have to. If it's gonna be white, would you keep it white if it wasn't white already? If it could be any color, would white be the color you select? And I think you could almost do another color here.
Well, I think since he added the red laces, he doesn't need to color the tongue.
All right.
In my opinion.
I feel you.
I think he did a solid job. Solid overall, amazing work.
These are so dope. Yeah. Love these. Next up, we have B, customized with a pair of Nike Mercurios done with a Goku theme. You cannot go wrong when you make your design, your characters interact with the branding. Goku interacting with the swoosh here, super dope.
It's not just like interacting, but the fact that the glow from the orb, from the Kamehameha, that, how do I explain this? Like the swoosh behind it is dark. You know what I mean? So like it went up, like a lot of planning went into it, and then also like when it curves off to the side of the front toe box, it starts to become darker as well. Yeah. And so there's a lot of artistic ability that goes into it.
Yeah, this was not just a very flat design. I'm just gonna slap Goku on here and have him nearby the swoosh or anything like that. Well thought out.
Super clean.
Next up, we have Jim Jupiter 13 with a pair of Metal Gear themed Air Forces. So we have the Metal Gear from the Nintendo days on the right shoe, Metal Gear Solid from the PlayStation days on the left shoe. Both shoes are completely blasted with two different camos, and it is not easy to do all that hand painting of the camo throughout those entire uppers, midsoles included. Absolutely crazy job here.
So would you say both of these were all white at the beginning?
Yeah, or maybe all black or something like that. But yeah, they were all well, the soles, the outsoles might be painted here, but they have a gray outsole for whatever it's worth. But the sock liners are also now black, but those could be painted. But yeah, I mean, either way, these took a tremendous amount of work.
Next up, we have Nightmare Customs with a pair of PS2 Air Force Ones. And at first glance, these do appear to be iridescent. I hope they are. If not, then I mean, they definitely do look like that. Yeah. And I like that. I'm pretty sure you got inspired by the purple haze, blue haze at the beginning when the PS2 first starts up, that opening screen. So you definitely killed it on that. And I do enjoy how you added the little blue like highlights to the toe box holes.
Yeah, around all those holes. Yeah. Yeah, I think like sort of how you were touching on the iridescent look to these, even if they weren't done with an iridescent paint to achieve that effect, these are awesome. Once you start to see these from some different angles and whatnot, definitely achieve some really cool effects with, I'm assuming these were done with an airbrush, but love how these turned out. And when you take a look at the video and you just start to see it from different angles, you're like, are my eyes playing tricks on me or what? I mean, I love that about these.
Next up, we have Williams Illustrations with a pair of Marvel vs. Capcom bands. Dude, I can't imagine how much time you spent on these. The Wolverine alone is super detailed. I love how the Wolverine looks. The background of both of these characters, how they pop out just like so much against it with the added glow behind them. I think these are super solid.
What was it about this game that made the Wolverine monochromatic? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. I like some of the stuff that you did with some of the other panels, such as the little Marvel vs. Capcom branding on those little panels near the back of the shoe, along with potentially what might be some cheat codes on those inside panels, and then we have the silhouettes battling on the other one. So just using the full shoe to your advantage. Really cool job here. And for their next entry, we have a NES-themed pair of Puma highs. A lot of cool stuff here tying back into the video game system, along with some of the classic characters like Mega Man on the outside of one of the shoes.
I'm all about details, man. I love like the subtle gray blocks in the toe box, and also the start and select text on the laces.
I didn't see that at first.
Fire.
That's good. That's good.
Next up, we have Decoro Zapatillas with a pair of Kingdom Heart Vans. Overall, the character work is really solid on this one. I like that you did add a background to the overall shoe, like the blue with a
little bit of a clean gradient,
some stains of pink and green here. I think those little touches really bring it all together.
Yeah, the oversized artwork of the characters, great job here. Definitely fits well to the shoe. All of the character work, look at it and all of that line work. Super clean, super precise. Great job here. Next up, we have Kicks by Tate with the pair of Among Us themed cleats. Really great job here. Of course, the first thing we're going to talk about is how dope that swoosh turned out on the insides of both shoes. A little bit more subtle. We just have that black background with the characters floating through the sky. Great Among Us theme here.
Yeah, really solid job. The swoosh definitely adds that extra oomph to it,
pop,
you know? Definitely adds in a pop, so good job on that one. Next up, we have Bald Boy Design with a pair of Nuclear Fallout Air Force Ones. I mean, man, I don't even know where to start.
Come on.
Dude.
Quit playing, man.
The detail
go to the pinup.
alone.
Just go to the pinup.
On the pinup. The detail on the pinup. Look at the hair.
Looks like a sticker.
Hair strands.
The swoosh. The swoosh.
The color blocking on the overall shoe too.
Man.
It looks like a shoe that Nike honestly would release if they had a Fallout release.
Ooh, and then the other shoe just being dedicated to the armor. Some of the textures built into here. Like this does not look like somebody just picked up some paint and threw it at these.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that they added the rust to some of the nails on there too. Definitely added a lot more texture to it. Yeah, man. Overall, just solid.
A+ texture work here. So good. Design. Next up, we have Gee Whiz Mister with a pair of Super Mario World themed Air Force One mids. A lot of different scenes and sort of some various characters featured from Super Mario World onto these shoes. Maybe not some of the ones that you would expect. I don't see Mario anywhere on these playing with some of the other characters. So it's kind of cool knowing that so many other people were gonna do Mario, finding ways to utilize other characters and whatnot. Really dig that approach.
I also like the color blocking on this shoe, and I do like that he went with the solid pair of white laces.
Yeah.
Maybe I feel like that just, keeps it a little below the line of overdoing it.
Yeah.
With the design.
Yeah, I think that works here for sure. Next up, we have DJ Jetty with a pair of Sub-Zero themed Timberlands. A lot of cool stuff going on here. Obviously, the portrait work, really clean. The graffiti text of the Sub-Zero with the gradient within it. Really cool. Love how these turned out.
And I like how the Timberland already includes a little blue panel on the bottom of the shoe.
Yeah.
And also the sole is like a darker blue, which also goes with Sub-Zero. And I think the character work alone has so much detail in it, and I think he did a great job.
Next up, we have Design Lab 101 with a pair of Mega Man Battle Network Psybeast, Gregar, and Falzar customs on this pair of boots. Really cool job here. I know we talked about this earlier, but anytime you can have the two shoes sort of battling each other, that's always a really cool concept. We have some imagery from the games taking up the insides of the shoes, trying to tie the themes in together, and then just the characters doing their thing on the outsides, taking up the entire uppers. Really dig these.
I also like that they added a subtle splatter to the midsoles and to the overall design. I think it adds a little bit more than if you would have left it empty.
Solid, I agree.
Next up, we have Clarissa Mariposa with a pair of Mario-inspired Converse. Honestly, I think my favorite part about these has to be the purple sock liner. I'm not sure if that was added later on with a dye, possibly.
It works so well.
But for some reason, it works so well, and you would never think to add purple to it. I mean, besides the obvious great character work.
Man, the spikes are a dope little touch at the back, and then that pixelated flame behind the characters, behind Bowser and Mario, that is chef's kiss.
Work.
Great stuff. I love how these turned out. The characters, like painting, you know, shading on this type of fabric. Not easy to do. Totally nailed it. I mean, look at Mario's nose. Take a look at Mario's nose. Now picture you're working on a really tough material like these Converse. And this is a great job. Mario's hand reaching onto that stripe of the midsole. Ooh wee, that is good.
Next up, we have Michael Harmon 84 with a pair of Shovel Knight Vans. And dude, honestly, you did an amazing job.
Killed them.
Capturing the metallic feel of the armor from the knights, and I love the backgrounds you placed them in. Also the shadows and the highlights. You just placed them you placed them in places where I could really get a good sense of where the light source is coming from.
Yeah. You feel like you could touch this armor.
Yeah.
You feel like you could reach out and grab this onto a pair of canvas shoes. Not easy to do. There's always bonus points added when you're working on a tough material like this. You know what I mean? So great job, Michael. So next up we have customized with a pair of Nike Burnins done in a Grand Theft Auto theme. So one of the shoes is Vice City, the other shoe is San Andreas. The two shoes have two different color palettes. Obviously the Vice City has a little bit more of that Miami inspired color palette. The San Andreas going with the green and the orange. Really cool having the video game cover on the outside of the San Andreas pair, man.
I also don't know if you found this graphic online or something, but it goes really well with the shoes because I noticed that the buildings on the bottom left side of the picture are tinted green and the others are tinted a blue purple. So it might have been like you might have done this yourself, and I think you did a pretty solid job.
Yeah, definitely a great graphic. Next up we have Billionaire Customs with a pair of Minecraft Air Force One mids. I love the deconstructed swoosh, flipping it upside down, doing all that pixelated artwork on the swoosh and the toe box. Really cool stuff here.
My favorite part has to be the little detailed TNT in the tongue, the tongue patch.
Man, these are fun. These are fun. And for their next entry, they have a pair of Fila's done in an LOL Dolls theme. Really clean artwork here. Still keeping a lot of the shoe white, but what they did, I like what they chose to color in. You know, that Fila stripe, some of the collar, having the mismatched colors, pink on one, teal on the other. Clean and simple here.
No, I like the color palette in this one too, and I also I actually do like the on the first picture the background goes with it too. Strangely enough,
it definitely does. Next up we have Zhao Customs with a pair of Legend of Zelda Converse All-Stars. We have the Legend of Zelda branding on the insides of the shoes, some green laces, and then some really cool classic Zelda artwork taking up the entire outsides.
Dude, the character work on here is pretty sick. I also like how you added those rips as clouds in the sky. It definitely adds a lot of depth to the character, and I think it's solid
Just
job.
some really cool imagery here. And for their next entry, they have this Sub-Zero themed pair of Adidas Stan Smiths. I don't know about you, man, but I think they just totally nailed the feeling of being cold. I feel cold just looking at these. They nailed it through the texture, you know what I mean?
I don't know if this is what you meant to do, but the little white breakages on top almost look like falling pieces of ice.
Right.
Icicles. Yeah. And I kind of wish they had a little bit more detail in them maybe, so they didn't have a sense of like icicles, but I do, if that is what you're going for, I definitely do get it, and great job.
Cool stuff. Next up, we have Designs by SL decking out a pair of shoes with this Mortal Kombat theme. Absolutely insane airbrush flame work here, man. Just insane how good that flame work is here. Look at that little subtle little silhouette of the scorpion in there.
Yep.
Right next to the character.
Yep.
Love these.
And then that flame work carries on to the laces.
Yes, it does.
And, you know, sometimes I might not agree with that just because it's so much, but I feel like this already screams fire, so why not already go for it?
Killer job. Next up, we have JTR Customs with a pair of Dragon Ball Super Nike SB Dunk Lows. Love this oversized artwork. Take a look at how those colors just really pop, from the green in the hair to the red textures on the toe box of that left shoe. Love these.
I love how he added a glow to the swooshes too. That definitely adds some separation from the characters. And then how the spaceship also has that blue glow to it and becomes a swoosh.
And that green little splatter, how much it pops up against that reddish orange. Really great job here. And for their next entry, they have a Psyduck vs. Pikachu themed pair of Air Force One highs, taking advantage of that height. We have a somewhat of a, you could call it a mock rising sun graphic behind the characters. I like the color blocking, the Pokeball on the toe box, nice little touch.
I also like the little hang tag that's included with the shoe, little Pikachu hang tag. And it almost looked like he dipped the shoe into some yellow paint.
Yeah.
Don't recommend it, but for this, it definitely does work.
Right.
Next up, we have Black Tiger Studio with a pair of Mario themed cycling shoes. The character work on these pair of shoes was done really well. There's actually like a lot of clean shading and highlighting done with the character, so it definitely makes them pop and go well together.
Yeah.
I do kind of wish that I did get like a brighter background, maybe so the shoes pop out a little bit more.
100%.
The soles don't get lost.
Yep.
I liked also that they added Super Mario World to the straps. Yeah.
Like you said, man, for how good this artwork is, for how dope these characters turned out, these need a fitting background, and that would have taken these to another level. But still, nonetheless, great job.
Yep. Next up, we have OCD Customs with a pair of Donkey Kong inspired Air Force Ones. I mean, before we even go into everything, just the amount of what I like about OCD Custom is the amount of detail that goes into their designs. Starting with the back tab, the little back heel tab thing, that itself is a tree that kind of breaks the whole shoe in half. You know what I mean?
It's so good.
The detail in the leaves, the leather laces, the detail is just what OCD always.
The swishes
always delivers.
Of Diddy and Donkey riding, and then the in the train cart, and then they're about to fall off the rail. Oh man, it's so good. Diddy and Donkey swimming underwater.
I would love to see what a custom shoebox looks like when it comes to these.
Yes. Killer job here. Absolutely knocked these out of the park.
Next up, we have Elite Saiyan Deadpool with a pair of Fallout Converse, and I would say that my favorite part about these probably has to be that they used the two different lace colors. It wasn't just a solid lace, so like I like that they incorporated both colors of the shoe into the laces, and that the lace holes were also separated by a yellow streak of paint that separated it from the artwork.
I think that the gradient for these was most likely done with the paintbrush. A gradient is obviously, as we know, going to be a little bit easier with an airbrush, but nonetheless, still trying to fit it to this theme. I think that once we can get that blend a little bit more subtle, I think the characters could have been a little bit bigger, fit a little bit better to the shoe, and then it would have just had a little bit more of a natural look here, but nonetheless, still a really cool entry.
And the photos also helped sell the artwork. It definitely gives me that Fallout vibe.
Next up, we have Feather Customs with an Among Us themed pair of Air Forces featuring that classic Galaxy drip swoosh. I love the different color lightnings here.
I also love the dedication of getting the little characters to go with this whole set. And adding the little paints to represent the stars. Good touch.
Next up, we have Wade Custom Shoe Co. with a pair of PS5 theme Jordan 3s. I can't help but want to start and talk about these back tabs. I love how these back tabs turned out, having the different buttons from the actual controllers. So cool. These dyed outsoles, it looks so dope here, man.
Definitely, obviously gives me that PS5 iridescent, purplish, bluish,
for sure.
icy sole. I'm not exactly sure how you got those buttons on there, but they do look solid, man. They look really solid.
Clean.
The pattern. Is this elephant print?
The cement print?
The cement print? Is that already on the shoe? Or
that's part of it.
Okay. But overall, solid. Good job.
Next up, we have Loch Ness Customs with a pair of Pokemon-themed Air Force Ones. We have Pikachu on the outside of one shoe, and then we have Charmander on the outside of the other. And some of the textures to create the electricity, the fire, really cool job here. I like some of the color blocking where we have some of the panels left white. We have the red wrapping around the toe boxes, the energy symbols on the inside. Cool stuff here, man.
I like the inside of the shoes a lot. I also like that the outside swooshes are solid green. I'm not sure what your planning was for that, but they actually came out a lot better than.
Yeah, it definitely works than just saying, let me just throw some green swooshes in there. But it still works here for sure. Next up, we have Zed Customs with a pair of Spider-Man Miles Morales themed Air Maxes. Sometimes you want to go the more simple, subtle route, you know what I mean? If Nike were ever to say, hey, we're releasing a Miles Morales colorway in this pair of Air Maxes, this might be something like what you might end up with.
Yeah, I also think the texture of the shoe would represent what Spider-Man's suit would probably feel.
Great point.
Next up, we have J Blue's shoes with a pair of Mario-inspired Vans. My favorite part about these would be the added checkered print around the piping of the shoe. I don't know. I don't know what it does to the shoe, but it adds some separation.
Yeah. Also, the characters look good, but I think when we look at slip-on Vans, our brains are sort of at this point conditioned to think of that checkered print or patterns. So to start with an all-white canvas and insert some of just the black and white drawings of the characters in the background, it almost just, your brain is already somewhat visualizing those types of patterns when you see slip-on Vans. So it works really well here, having those characters as a pattern in the background for your larger colored characters.
And for their next entry, they have a pair of Sekiro Shadows Die Twice inspired Vans. And the artwork on this is super clean. I love the detail that you put into the temple, and with like the flying leaves, the little subtle moon on top of the temple also. Just solid cartoon work here.
Yeah, just some really, really great imagery from the game incorporated onto these.
Next up, we have Customs by G with an Assassin's Creed Air Force One. And man, these go insane. The amount of detail, the amount of detail in the shadows. You know what I mean? Like, man.
In his little picture set, it just keeps zooming in more
on
and more.
On the surface of the midsole, not even just plain leather. It's the surface of a midsole, which is.
Look at that! Man. Look at that depth! Look at that! You literally feel like you're looking at a video game or like something, an incredibly detailed rendering or something. I mean, for that to be painted on an Air Force midsole is just godly, and it's so unfortunate because this pair, I think we could say, would have pretty likely been in the top 4 for the contest, but he did mention to us that he made these for a client. So if you are entering into any of the contests, make sure that you're making a pair specifically for the contest. You're more than welcome to sell them after the contest or anything like that. But if they're going to be for the contest, they do have to be sent in for the review where they're then voted on. So just something to keep in mind in case you are one of the final 4 winners. And these... this is top-notch work that deserves to be up there. I mean, we just talked about the character itself, but I mean, look at the angel wings and that little red piping right around the eyelet panel.
The tongue tag is also painted red. The swoosh on the inside is painted red.
Little bit of texture wrapping around the toe box there, and how it goes from the inverse of the wing print on the panels. I mean. Tons
of planning went into this. Tons of, I can't imagine how many hours in this.
Yeah, it says 100 plus.
100 plus hours of this.
The blood,
I see it.
Those little blood splatters.
And the blood also isn't flat.
No, it's not just red. You know what I mean? It's not just painted red. And then look at that little shadow around the character. That little shadow to make him pop. And then look at the shadow from the hood cast over the face of the character. I mean. Killer job here. Killer job.
Next up, we have Project 1251 with a pair of horror-themed Vans. This one's a little iffy just because I know some people are going to be like, these are horror-themed, why are they in a video game contest? But there are some video games that include both of these characters. But nevertheless, they did a solid job on these characters. I love the artwork.
Yep. When you combine the shoes together and you get the 2 separate characters' faces, the blood splatter across them both. Having both of them against the same gray background was a nice touch.
Right.
And yeah, cool job here.
Next up, we have Wesley Elvis with a pair of Majora's Mask Fila Volks, and there is a ton of detail and color packed into the imagery on the shoe, and there's also some pretty clean gradients that go back and forth between the colors.
Yeah, just tons and tons of detail packed into the characters. Lots of colors. You know that these took a long time to do all of these because this entire shoe just has a lot going on. So really cool job here. Next up, we have Effect Kicks with a pair of PlayStation-themed Nike Dunks. Right away, my favorite part of these has to be those swooshes where they have all the various PlayStation buttons just repeated throughout there. You know these took a ton of time with all of these characters featured throughout. I mean, this is one where you just find more and more detail packed into these.
I love the photo set that comes with this also, and I think the silhouette is what it just works so well with this theme.
So good.
It looks like a shoe that's very retro. It fits the theme so well. I think this is a really solid pair of shoes, man.
Great job here. Great job.
Next up, we have by Boog with a pair of Pokemon-inspired Converse. I love in the caption that you said these are the 2 hardest Pokemon I captured in Safari game because I know the struggle. I know how that feels. Man. And solid job on the character work also. I love the shading and highlights and the overall texture that you added to the background.
This is somebody who knows their way around an airbrush. You could tell there are some fire blends here. There is some really cool stencil work. This is a great job. I think that maybe maybe you could have almost fit another Pokemon or maybe like another silhouette of the character, like a solid silhouette to fill up a little bit more. I mean, Converse, you're working with such a large base that maybe just something a little bit more to fill in the rest of those gaps could have really just gave it some oomph here. And for their next entry, we have a Dragon Ball inspired pair of Hyper Dunks. I love that back tab being the Dragon Ball. That is so cool. Great touch. Again, their airbrush work is phenomenal. The backgrounds and whatnot, killer.
I love that little outline you added to the swoosh too. It's very, very subtle, but I feel like it definitely helps separate the swoosh from the rest of the background.
Great point.
Next up, we have Draco 302 with a pair of Halo Master Chief Air Force Ones. I think you absolutely embody the character of Master Chief in these shoes. I love the detail and the swooshes.
Ooh, so good.
There's gradients, there's like subtle gradients from dark to light in all the panels. I love the accessories that you put in the photo set as well. When you went outside in a different environment to take these photos, I love that. Overall, solid job. Great
way to split up the colors. I think it's sort of the perfect balance, this perfect ratio of green to black to gold.
Yep.
Really clean job here. Next up, we have Henrock Customs with a pair of Crash Bandicoot Jordan 10 cleats. And what's really cool, I know from talking to him, is he made these for, I believe, Keenan Cole of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think we have a little clip of Keenan wearing these pre-game. Says this was his first time working with a pro athlete. Great job, my man. That's always a phenomenal feeling. Huge props to you because this pair also turned out super dope. I love the Crash Bandicoot theme. I love the bringing in the, some aspects of design that the player probably wanted on the toe box, his name and number. Really cool job here.
Yeah, I also love the galaxy theme that surrounds the background.
Yep.
I wouldn't have thought to add a galaxy to like a Crash Bandicoot theme, but it actually played out really, really well.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Artist Cryptic with a pair of Fall Guy Air Force Ones. I love that you brought these back to life from an old pair and made them look new again. I think my favorite part has to be the added Velcros that come with this pair. Definitely adds more of a more than just like a custom feel to it. It makes it feel interactive, like you can buy these in store almost. You know what I mean? You can buy more pieces that come with
the
shoe.
Right, super cool. Next up, we have Crave Customs, who decked out this pair of Vans with an Among Us theme. We have that black sky background. All of the characters featured throughout, like they're blasting through space, facing different directions. Really clean, simple job with a theme that we know a lot of people were gonna try to tackle because Among Us has gone absolutely crazy over the past year. And for their next entry, we have a pair of Naruto-themed Air Force Ones. Some really clean character work, but again, anytime we're talking about an all-white Air Force One, when the character works this good, let's give it a proper background, you know what I mean?
And then he also did paint the inside of the swooshes, which I do appreciate that, the added touch to it.
Yeah, for sure. But just a little bit more with that background. Just fit the character into a setting, and then you could really bring it to life.
And for the next submission, we have a Brawly-inspired pair of Vans. First of all, I like the character work. It's done really well. And even though you said you didn't have enough time to take pictures, I do think a better background would have made these shoes pop out a lot more. But it's okay, you'll get it next time. But overall, solid job. Next up, we have Drip Tip Kicks with a pair of Spider-Man inspired Air Force Mids. I love that each individual shoe embodies a different character. The Venom pair obviously shows the tongue being wrapped around the midsole, and then the Spider-Man pair, love the color blocking on that one. You absolutely killed it. I love the subtle spider webs also in the red.
That webbing is dope. And then the spider logo on the toe box. That print that we have within all of the blue panels, almost like a polka dot, that is super dope. I love the Spider-Man versus the Venom branding on the actual straps for the Air Forces. Really clean job here. Next up, we have Kicks by O with a GTA-inspired pair of Jordan 10s. Man, these remind me almost like of a poster or something like that, where they have everything split up. Super cool. You don't see too many Jordan 10 customs, so I love seeing it done here. And just a ton of great imagery from the GTA series.
And the dyed sock liner definitely adds a nice touch to the top of both of these shoes.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, then you take a look at some of the details in the artwork. Totally nailed it. Obviously, having all those splits, those colors are really gonna pop. These are awesome, man.
Next up, we have Gonzalez Graphics with a pair of Pokemon-themed Air Force Mids. And what I love about these is that the more you keep looking into them, you just keep getting lost. Like the swooshes, for example, one's a Weedle, another one is a Caterpie. Then you have Onyx on this one. I'm not sure who do you have on this one. I'm not sure who you have on the other one, but the more you keep looking, the more you get lost and the more you find. So I think this style really does help all these Pokemon get lost in the design.
If you look at the two panels that wrap around the toe box, we have a bunch of the Eevee evolutions.
Yep.
And then if you look at the other one, we have your 3 starters. So you have your Bulbasaur, your Charmander, your Squirtle. This is really cool. These are just fun to me. This almost feels like this could be an inspiration to people who just can sort of, who just are always doodling and drawing in class. I'm gonna doodle on my shoes and draw Pokemon characters real quick. But this is still done at a very high-end level. So these turned out awesome. This isn't something you see often. No, you know what I mean? So I love switching it up. Great job here.
Next up, we have Sister Souls with a pair of Naruto-inspired Air Force Ones, and they're very, very subtle. What I'm about to point out, which I do like a lot, is the lace tips. It's a little highlight of blue, and also that blue accent is also carried to the back tab of the blue Nike
stitching.
and Air stitching, and I think it doesn't add a lot to the shoe, but it definitely does tie the shoe well together. And then on the inside panels, we have the character workers at the outside panels,
the insides with the eyes.
Panels, we have the eyes.
I like having the different graphics. Right. You know what I mean? The characters with a little bit more of a scenery on the outsides of the shoes, but on the insides, you just have the close-ups of the eyes from the characters. Super cool.
And for the next entry, they have a Dragon Ball Z inspired Air Force One. And I actually do like how the background is broken up with the white white breaks. I think if it was a full like blue or pink background, the character wouldn't pop out as much.
Sure. I'm not sure if they were potentially going for a little bit more of a lightning look, to where maybe we need to add those lightning streaks inside, or maybe they just wanted to not have it up against a white background.
Right.
I think it's close, but if it was lightning, it might need those streaks inside.
That would make a little bit more sense.
If they were going for something else, maybe they needed a little bit of something else. But, you know, I sort of see the initial concept.
Now that you say it like that, I actually do see it now.
Yeah, but nonetheless, they nailed the skin tones and characters look good. Next up, we have Chump Something with a pair of Zelda Vans. These turned out really cool, man, having the characters sort of throughout the ages, the different versions of Link here, the little sword on that little back heel. I dig that. The little bit of a gradient along with those trees there. Really cool touches here.
I also like that he added a little bit to the box as well. So if you get these shoes, you're kind of excited to get the box as well, because it's also an artwork on the box.
Next up, we have Look at Brow with a pair of Pokemon Sword and Shield customs on this pair of Nike Vapor cleats. And man, oh man, this might be the best gradient we have seen today. I mean, that is a buttery smooth gradient. The red and the blue, that turned out absolutely phenomenal. Of course, character artwork's really good, but I also really dig that touch of the gold line work from the wings that's within the gradient near the rear of the shoe. Love that.
I also know that you could probably appreciate the character work on this surface.
Ooh,
yes. Can you imagine how bumpy that is? How bumpy that surface must be when trying to pull straight lines. So solid job here.
Great, yeah, and that gradient, 10 out of 10, phenomenal.
Next up, we have Sneaky Sid with a pair of Nintendo 64 inspired Air Max 90s. I definitely think you captured the essence of Nintendo 64 on this shoe by including probably the two big franchises that made Nintendo, which is Pokemon and Mario. And I love how it isn't necessarily all over the shoe. It stays within that panel.
Super cool. Also, can we bring back more colorful video game branding and whatnot? I mean, everything's so modern and futuristic nowadays. I mean, PlayStation and Xbox, it's basically just black and white. And I mean, come on, these are just fun to look at. And that classic Nintendo 64, you just think of how colorful that logo was and whatnot. Bring it back. These are awesome. Next up, we have Nuff Said Tokyo with the pair of Naruto Air Force One lows. These colors are crazy, man. That Paradise Purple versus that really bright, vibrant yellow. I mean, this is insane. Look at those swooshes, too. Really feeling these, man.
I also like that on the yellow, the little designs are broken up with the even brighter yellow. Yeah. So that doesn't get lost in the background. Adds a lot of separation. Great job. Next up, we have 3 The Hoop with a pair of Fortnite cleats, and I think I actually do like the added texture that you added in the front of the yellow cleat and within the blue background. I also like that you separated your characters from your background, And there's your character work also has some nice shading to it, so it doesn't look super flat.
Definitely. I think one recommendation I might have for those drop shadows is rather than using black, maybe going with just a slightly darker shade of whatever color the background is. So maybe a really dark blue or a really dark yellow or something like that. Something that's just not as black, so it can be a little bit more subtle, but still do the job that you were mentioning of trying to create that separation for your characters.
Overall, solid job though.
Next up, we have Customs by Carrie with a Nightmare Before Christmas themed pair of Vans. I love some of that pattern work that's featured throughout the rest of the show. That's something I'm always looking for when we're talking about a pair of slip-on Vans. What are you doing with some of those other panels? And obviously, Nightmare Before Christmas has some really iconic imagery, so really cool to incorporate some of that stuff.
This must have been the perfect Vans for this design, because the inside of the Vans had the pinstripe which match Jack's suit.
Yep.
And yeah, I just think overall the design is cool.
Next up, we have Tight Customs with a pair of Jordan Futures in a Tetris theme. I think I'm going to confidently say this is the first pair of Jordan Futures we've had in any of our contests. And could you come up with a more fitting theme for this woven material than doing Tetris?
I think Tight Customs always picks canvases that not the average person customizer would use, but always finds a way to incorporate the design into their design.
So true.
Dude, this Tetris pattern just fits so well.
Who else would see that or think of that or want to try that?
Amazing.
How tedious that is, fitting all of those little squares within that woven pattern. Crazy. Great job. Next up, we have JS Custom Kicks with a pair of Pac-Man Jordan 1s. And this is just sort of a combination of a lot of you have great color blocking, you have great imagery behind the swoosh where you have some actual gameplay, you have some really solid graphic work on the toe boxes, the tongue tags, the laces, the color palette. This is just a great overall execution.
And I know you can appreciate the painted guts of the shoes, the sock liner.
Yes. Now imagine if these were all white. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Picking blue here was perfect.
In this situation, I could definitely see maybe it not working, but I do enjoy the overall shoe.
Great job here.
Next up, we have Tat Shoe Customs with a pair of Baraka-inspired Jordan Flight Origin floors. First of all, I want to say that not anybody would pick Baraka as a character to I guess design a shoe afterwards, and you really made. I feel like I'm staring at Baraka when I look at these shoes because you embodied the character into this canvas, including with the teeth on the toe box. The teeth also have this yellowing effect, which I like a lot. Are the needles like little spikes added?
Yeah,
the spikes are added, which do the leather laces, the tongue. There's like shadowing. There's shading and highlighting around the entire canvas as well.
Yeah, nice little vignette. You know?
Vignettes.
I think there's a time and a place for different types of designs, but sometimes one thing that I like to think about when we're talking about maybe superheroes or characters and you're making a pair of custom shoes, how could you almost have the custom shoes as an extension of the character? So if Baraka was he happened to be wearing a pair of Jordan Flight Origin 4s. This is what they'd look like. You know what I mean? They wouldn't necessarily have a huge portrait or graphic of him on there, but they might have some extensions of, his wardrobe or elements from the character. And this is an embodiment of that. So really well thought out. Great job. Next up, we have Aknak Who with a pair of Sonic-themed Air Force One highs. No strap included on these, but nonetheless, we have a really clean gradient of that really light blue into that deep royal Sonic blue at the back. Sonic is featured all throughout the shoe, a couple different renditions of him, some of those little gold rings. Really cool job here.
Yeah, I love the gold rings. I love the gradient that starts at the toe box to the back. Has done really, really well.
Yep. I think if we look here on the left shoe, where we have the two Sonic characters, since we have so much height with an Air Force One, I do think that back Sonic could have been elevated a little higher. Maybe we see a little bit more of his body, or maybe he's just a little bit bigger in general. But really just filling up all that empty space.
Next up, we have James Asada 30 with a pair of custom Pac-Man Adidas. And I think as an average person, I don't recognize this, but as a customizer, maybe you could appreciate the gradient that goes from yellow to green to blue.
Anytime you're working with yellow and you're gradient and you pull it off this well, you definitely are doing something right. To me, one of my favorite parts is all of that pattern work on the inside with the black. Just going for it. Just saying, I'm gonna do something bold on the inside, something that's really gonna pop and really stand out. Really clean turnout on these.
Next up, we have Hot Cocoa Customs, the pair of Super Mario Jordan 1s. And I mean, dude, these have a lot packed into it.
Fire.
My favorite thing has to be the little mushroom sliding off the swoosh.
Oh man!
Coming from the mystery box, and there's another mystery box headed that way too.
Killer.
Killer. I love the color blocking almost too, with the green on the top, with the orange.
And that color they picked, like that
purple almost.
It's a very, very unique purplish blue. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Very unique. Yeah, the midsole work here, the swoosh work. All of that brick, killer.
Next up, we have Deke Design with a pair of Duck Hunt Nike cleats. And just starting off, I know how hard, I can't only imagine how hard it is to paint on this surface.
Yeah.
This really bumpy surface. But I think you picked the right design for
it fits with this artwork,
for this canvas.
sure.
Like the dot work almost makes it more realistic.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, it works cool here. This is a throwback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is some throwback video game right here. Fits perfectly to this shoe. Great job. All right, there you have it. Thank you guys so much for watching another reviewing all of the entries for the DCF video game contest. This one was crazy. I cannot wait to get the final 4 in person and be able to showcase those to you guys. Just like all of our other contests, you guys are gonna pick the winner for the $350 grand prize.
And thank you guys for being patient with us. We know this video took a little bit longer than we expected, but we are working on hopefully having a better submission process for next time, so keep an eye out for that. And also merch.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't supported yet, we definitely do appreciate those who did support, and those who aren't able to, we still appreciate you guys. We hope that whoever has gotten their order already definitely likes the merch.
Yeah, we've gotten some great feedback on it already, so if you guys are interested, that will be linked in the description. Go ahead, give this video a like if you guys haven't already. Make sure you're subscribed, and we will see you guys in that next video.